Good afternoon and welcome on board with not only Bryan this afternoon but also James. James is coming out to learn the tricks of the camera trade, and as I mentioned this morning, for those of you who were on the AM Safari, myself as well as Brent and James will be doing some camera work over the next 2 weeks as we search for another cameraman to help out our growing crew here at WildEarth in Juma. Anyway, it's a wonderful winter's afternoon, and as normal, blue skies, quite warm. It's probably around 25 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure exactly what that equates to in Fahrenheit, but fairly warm still. And the plan is to initially head off to a waterhole and see if there's anything drinking there. Thereafter, we're going to be following up on a young male leopard who we were lucky enough to spend some time with this morning. We also got to see his mother, Shadow, and followed them for about an hour, half an hour to an hour. It was an incredibly beautiful sighting, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to replay something similar this afternoon. So, without further ado, let's continue on. Brent and Andrew will be out a little bit later, well, they're already out, and you will be heading across to their vehicle at some stage for an update. But for now, you're with us, and we're about 5 minutes away, not even, from Treehouse Dam. And on a warm afternoon like this, it'll be interesting to see if there are any visitors there drinking. What will also be interesting after this is getting into the area where we last saw Shadow's cub. We actually went back between drives to show some of the staff, like Eugene and Nikki, who are in the final control this afternoon, some of the animals in the flesh, as you could understand that simply watching from the control room all the time is not quite enough for them. So we did head there between drives, and he had moved ever so slightly actually onto the other side of the road to a property where we are not permitted to traverse, but he was very close to the road, and I'm sure he's going to be in and around that area. Failing finding him, we've got a good idea of which direction his mother headed in, and we could find her somewhere around the Arathusa airstrip. So there's a plan B in place already, but I won't be surprised if we get to a plan D or E later on, as the plans often change out here. Now, for those of you who may be joining for the first time, a very, very warm welcome. My name is Scott, and this is a live safari, so what you're seeing this very second is actually happening, which is hard to believe but true. And oh, look at this. No. Well, it's not uncommon for warthog to provide us with this view, their tail up as they trot off into the bush. And there we go, you saw the tail pop back down as soon as he stopped running. And you can't blame an animal like that for being very, very cautious around a waterhole. It is a place where animals know that they can be ambushed, especially small animals like warthog that are very close to the ground. The buffalo, on the other hand, couldn't care less of our presence or anything really, it appears, at this stage. And this one is focused on the task at hand, which is chewing the cud, which you can see him doing in a very relaxed and lazy manner. And no surprise to find a few large buffalo bulls here. They do frequent the waterholes, especially during the summer days. They tend to do the majority of their feeding at night time, and then spend their days relaxing at the waterholes waiting for things to cool down. It's very, very still and silent, and I can't even hear a bird calling, and that will be something that you will notice change as the afternoon progresses, and as things begin to cool down, we can expect to see and hear a lot more animals. Now, that's not always the case, but it's a general trend, and even in the mornings it's kind of a reverse. It starts off quite loud with a lot of bird call and more animal movements, and as it begins to get warmer, it tends to quieten down. Now, I must say I'm quite excited to get to the last position of Shadow's cub. He's a really pretty young male, and he's only about 8 months old, so still relatively small. He'll probably triple in size, possibly even more than that by the time he's a fully mature adult. And it was probably 2.5 or 3 months ago that I saw him last. He was nestled up in a very scrambly branch of a knobthorn acacia, and his mother Shadow had hoisted an impala kill up into that tree, and hyena had come onto the scene, and at that stage he was still probably half the size of he is now, so still small, and wouldn't stand a chance against a hyena. So he spent about 2 or 3 days up in that tree without coming down, as far as anyone's aware. And it's so wonderful to see him now again a few months later and see how he's matured and grown, and how much more independent he is. He gets left for longer periods of time on his own than he would have used to. Now, as we're driving along, all of you can really help and get involved in helping us to find animals or anything interesting. And I think the best places for you to check will be up in the marula trees. Now, you may not know what a marula tree is, but they have got large horizontal branches, and you could almost imagine a leopard lying up in these trees. So keep an eye out on trees like that, the one that Bryan's just showed you, and you may notice a tail dangling down, or the 4 limbs of the leopard pointing down vertically. Any obscurity really in the tree is what you should be looking for, not necessarily a spotted cat. And I know the day is going to come when we're going to get a message through from the final control telling us that one of you have spotted a leopard. It hasn't happened yet, but keep searching in these trees and it will happen. I will put money on it. I remember once tracking a leopard in the southern Sabi Sands, where I started off my career, and the tracks were exceptionally fresh, really crisp, clear tracks, and we were driving down the road so intently looking at the tracks on the ground that when the tracks disappeared off the road, we continued to search even closer, and there was a marula tree with its branch extending over the road, and we drove underneath the leopard, straight past it, and another vehicle that drove past a few minutes behind us to also double check that area found the leopard up in the tree. So literally drove right underneath it. That's why we need all the help we can get. There are so many different hiding places that we can search in that we may miss one, and often the obvious ones are the ones that we miss. I'm going to try and squeeze into a little gap just to show you a few young male impala all relaxing in the shade, and I guess it will will help give you an idea of the temperature we're experiencing at the moment, and also the actions of the impala. And I just got the official temperature. It's 28 degrees Celsius and 82, if I'm hearing correctly, degrees Fahrenheit. Now, all of these individuals would have been born roughly at the same time at the end of 2013, so they're just over a year old. Well, I guess coming on a year and a half now, actually. Time's flying by. And I can tell that from their horn size. There is one larger male with them that I'll try and creep forward to show you, just so you can see the comparison between 1.5-year-olds and one that looks to be almost fully mature, which is probably around 4 years of age, but I'm going to have to move the vehicle to do that. Anyway, you get an idea of what the animal's plans are today, at this stage of the day at least, and that's to relax in the shade. The other male's obscured by so many bushes, so sadly we're not going to be able to show you that. Well, maybe. Oh no, it's a bit too thick, but Brian's going for it, so we're going to give him a chance. There we go. Oh, good work. You can actually see quite clearly there the difference in horn size, but maybe not quite fully mature. Impala males will become sexually active at around 4 or 5 years of age, so that gives you an idea of how long they will wait. The females much sooner, at around 2 years. Good. And we are currently coming to the end of the rutting season, where impala will very intensely focus on mating. And we've managed to show you a little bit of it so far, but they seem to be romancing elsewhere, as I haven't had too much impala rutting action, or haven't seen much since I got back from leave. And it basically continues for about a month in the month of May. And I guess the fact that that one larger male was with a herd of much younger males who wouldn't be interested in rutting yet, they're not even nearly old enough to understand or get involved in that. And the fact that there was a bigger one there may lean to the fact that it could be a little bit younger and also not quite there, but still considerably larger than the others. It sounds like Brent is ready to greet all of you and give you an update of what he's been up to so far and his plans for the afternoon. So over to Brent, and we will catch up with you a little bit later.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name's Brent. I got Andrew on camera with me, and I know Scott's done the rest of the introductions already. So welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. We're heading now at the moment down towards the Twin Dams area. We're going to be checking all the water points, looking for some ellies this afternoon. Hopefully, it's been a nice hot day, so hopefully they'll be drinking. For those of you who might be new viewers, we are live, so you are seeing everything we see in the African bush in real time. Also, we are interactive, so you're able to ask us questions about what we're seeing, and you can do that by sending an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. Well, I'm always excited to get out, and I'm hoping we're going to find something interesting this afternoon. If not, there's lots of little things to look at, so there's never a dull drive out here in the bush. So I hope you guys enjoy, and welcome on the back of the vehicle with myself and Andrew today. So I saw earlier it's about 30 degrees, which is around 83 or 84 Fahrenheit if my memory serves correctly. So a nice winter's day for us out here in the Lowveld. We're in Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is within the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which forms part of the Greater Kruger National Park, which is over 4 million acres of unfenced wilderness for animals to roam. So an amazing part of the world to be in, and I get excited every time I get to go out and drive. You never know what might be around the next corner. So on Djuma itself, we've been going through a bit of a leopard drought at the moment. Not to say the leopards aren't here, we've just been struggling to find them. There's also been quite a lot of strange tracks and interactions that have been going on. And I was having a chat to a friend of mine who's a guide at one of the other lodges. And we both agree that possibly this new male that's coming in from the southwest is causing a lot of this sort of at the moment. So it's going to be an interesting couple of months ahead to see what happens. I also hear my friend James has been saying some things. He said he wants to have a Brent beating photograph, but I think poor James has a long way to go before that happens. And if you have a look at his camera, it's quite small, just like him. He's very small in stature, so we need to give him a chance sometimes. But other than that, we're very excited to have James on the team. I'm about to go through a dip, so there might be a little bit of signal breakup, so I'm just going to keep quiet as we go through here. There we go, we're out of the dip. Just so everyone knows and no one gets a surprise next week, we are going to be trying out a few other presenters during next week, so don't get a fright if you log in and you see someone different. It's always exciting to get new people. We can always learn a lot from each other. So just to give you a bit of forewarning before you sort of pop on to look for Scott, James and myself and you see a new face. Because it's quite warm, a lot of your herbivores are going to be resting in the shade, particularly the ruminants. But as it cools down, I'm quite sure we'll see a few animals moving out. And I'm hoping to find some elephants today around the water holes. Feels like I haven't seen a nice big herd of elephants for a while. And as always, I'll be checking for tracks of any of the predators. vast open system. You can always think you can predict the movements of animals, but you never really can. And what happens a lot is that we write all the books about what animals should do, but they forget to read them. So an animal's quite capable of doing stuff that has never been seen before. So that's why it's always exciting to be out on safari. So still, not even a bird chirping. Approaching another one of these drainage lines where the signal can dip as I cross through, so I'll be quiet again for a few seconds, but I'll move through as quickly as possible. Approaching the water now, and as I get there, I'm just going to switch off. I'm going to listen, because the elephants might have even already drunk and moved off. Always important to listen to what the bush is telling you. But judging from what I can see, it doesn't look like any elephants have been down here. When elephants drink, they tend to make quite a mess and splash water and mud all over the place. But still, might be worth just listening to see if there are any on their way. And those old viewers out there know, when we listen, we put our hands over our ears, so we're like a kudu. And the only thing I heard was a fly. So it doesn't seem like much is happening here. So we're going to continue on and see what else is happening at possibly Buffelshoek Dam. I think will be our next port of call. Have a bird of prey coming in. Oh, of course, as soon as I stop, goes the other way. Let's try to get forward a little bit past these little baby leadwoods. Here we go. Now, most of our regulars will know this bird quite well. Even from this long-distance sighting, they'll be able to identify it. So, I'm just going to say what it is. It is a bateleur. But now, I'm going to check if anyone's actually been listening to me while we've been on drive. Who can remember what a bateleur means and how a bateleur got its name? What does the word bateleur mean, and what language does it originate in? And you can send your answers to questions at wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Incredible. incredible eyesight on those birds. They're often the first birds to find a carcass or a fresh kill, and vultures will often follow them around. I've seen quite funny situations where a battalier has landed for a drink at a pan like this, and the vultures have just seen the battalier dip or to a little puddle during the wet season, and then 5 or 6 big white-backed vultures sort of whoop, and they're like, oh, but where's the meat? And the battalier's just there having a little drink out of a pan. But really, really incredible eyesight. So let's see if you can get the answer through to how a battalier got its name and where it got its name from. And remember to send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. I am being murdered by the flies at the moment. They are just attacking me. So I'm going to move away from the dam where they obviously are missing the normal buffalo bulls that are residents in the area. So guys, Scott's been working hard, and I think he's managed to pull a rabbit out of the hat for you. So we're going to cross over to Scott quickly, and we'll be back with you later in the drive. Enjoy.
Okay, well, welcome back everyone, and we thought we'd try something a little bit different there with a slightly blurred beginning, but look at what a beautiful animal this is, and our luck continues. We have managed to find this young male leopard, and I think he's just repositioning. We caught him lying on the fringe of a shady area, and as the sun moves throughout the day, leopards will reposition themselves, and when we found him here earlier today, he was on the other side of the termite mound, and he may continue to shift around. But before he does that, it looks like he's going to have some grass, and just like domestic cats and dogs, they will feed on grass, usually green grass, to help purge their system. And it looks like he has decided to disappear into a shady section on the other side of this termite mound. Sadly, he is on a property where we cannot traverse, so we are going to leave him here, and now at least we know where he is for a little bit later on once it's cooled down, and we'll certainly come back. In the meantime, I think it would make sense to go and look for his mother, who we've got a good idea of where she was heading. She was heading towards the Arethusa airstrip, and because we cannot really view him from where we're allowed, we're going to continue, let him carry on snoozing, which I'm sure he'll do for at least the next hour, and then come back into this area once it's cooled down and see where he decides to move to from there. Great. Well, so happy that we got to see a glimpse of him, and like I said, it's just one of those things that you cannot drive wherever you like out here. So sometimes you just have to take whatever it is you can get, and for us this afternoon it was just a little glimpse of him, but that could change as it cools down, so don't you worry. We will certainly be coming back here a little bit later. And I'm very fortunate. Oh, Brian's just seen him moving now. Where is he moving to? Back. Okay. Well, let's stay with him for a while. Let's see where he decides to move to. It's certainly not going to be the first time that a leopard's proved my predictions wrong. And I'm just going to try and position the vehicle in a way such that James and Bryan have got a decent chance of filming him. It really isn't easy in this thick vegetation, and there we go, wonderful. Now, if he does cross back over the road towards us, then we'll be able to stay with him. Failing that, we'll probably have to leave him. But let's give it a few moments and decide what his plans are. Like I say, it's very thick, so there's not much we can do about it from now. Let me see if I can reposition the vehicle again, because he's hiding behind. Oh, here he comes. Anyway, let me carry on moving, turn the vehicle around. We're going to need to do it at some stage. And thankfully there's an Arethusa vehicle on their way here. We've got no radio comms with anyone at the moment, so at least we're going to be able to share the sighting with whoever it is. Looks like it could be Roy. Oof. I think we may just be able to get a glimpse of him through a gap just up ahead here. But like I say, it's very, very thick. So for now we won't be able to see anything. But let's just be patient. He is hiding somewhere in this thick vegetation. He's just sitting down in the sun at the moment, or the last I saw of him, and I'm guessing he's not going to stay put in the sun very long. Let me get out my binoculars and see if that helps me to establish exactly what he's up to. Well, it's testament to how good their camouflage is. Even though I know roughly where he was last sitting, I don't have even the slightest glimpse of him. What I'm going to try and do though is reverse a little bit and see if that doesn't help allow Bryan to get an angle to show you this beautiful animal. I remember seeing one little gap that could work out for us. No luck, Bryan. How's it, Paul?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
Yeah.
So Bryan's going to have to practice some very tight camera work between all of the guests in the vehicle next to us. And it may just work out. How are you doing, Roy?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Are you happy to see me this afternoon?
Yeah.
Very good. It's just to the left of Roy's head, Bryan, I think.
Sorry.
Somewhere. No, you fine there. Or am I dreaming?
No, I can see him. Scott, maybe I'm going to try to go around there.
Oh, there it is. You slap bang in the middle, Bryan. You got him. Well, isn't you good there, Roy? That's perfect. Hello, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Right at the top of the mic.
He's in the center of the shot, just at the top of the screen. There you go. Well, again, folks, isn't it just incredible to see how good their camouflage is? And we're going to leave Roy here to enjoy the sighting and keep an eye on this young cub for us. And hopefully he'll come closer onto Arethusa, which will allow us to get a bit closer to him and view him, as where he's currently lying is, again, not a property that we can traverse. But we've had a great view of him already, and that was just a great opportunity for us to show you how good their camouflage is. Right?
Yeah.
enjoy. Sorry, my radio is not working.
No problem.
I've tried. Have a good afternoon, everyone. We will see you later. Well, that's not a bad way to start off the afternoon, I think. And very, very happy that we've allowed to not only share that beautiful animal with you, but also with Roy and his guests. And it's such an important part of the safari experience, sharing sightings with fellow guides, because if it was just us out here alone, we wouldn't have joined that sighting this morning if it wasn't for Lee finding that leopard and letting us know on the radio that at that stage was working. Now it's not working too well. If it wasn't for Lee's help, none of us would have experienced what we got to see this morning, as well as already what we've seen this afternoon. Now, plan B is to head off in search of his mother. And she was heading straight in this direction on the right of the road that we're traveling on now, but heading straight south. And we're going to have to look very, very closely on this road that we're now driving down to see if her tracks did in fact cross and whereabout they did cross. The tricky thing about this road is that it's a main access road into Arathusa, and there may have been, I'm guessing, 5 or 10 vehicles at least. Roy's definitely one of them, who's already driven this road, and the more vehicles that drive any given road, the less sign and the less tracks are left behind for us to see. I guess what's in our favor this afternoon is that we've got James on the back as well, so he is keeping his eyes peeled on the road as we drive past for any sign of the tracks. So not only is he learning the ways of the camera, but he's also helping us out in searching for anything of interest. Anything of it. So now James is just going to jump off for a closer inspection, and I'll leave him to it. I trust his skills and abilities, and it seems like it's all hyena or old tracks. So thanks, James, for that. And we will continue now. Now again, it's important to remember that simply because we haven't seen the tracks crossing already, it doesn't mean she didn't cross. We saw this morning she crossed, well, she came onto the road at 3 different points over a period of about a mile of movements. 2 of the roads she crossed directly over from left to right. So imagine the chances of seeing just 2 or 3 tracks of her crossing a road, especially when a road's busy. The other road she spent about 20 or 30 meters on before veering back into the bush. You wouldn't believe this, but I've just got a question through from somebody called David Dyson. Now, my name's Scott Dyson, and that makes him my father. So, hello, Dad. I hope you're well. And thanks very much for sending your question through. My father's interested to know whether any of the waterholes in the Sabi Sands are fed water during the winter months, which are our drier months of the year. We get summer rainfall here. And yes, they are indeed, not all of them, but certain waterholes will have water pumped into them at the discretion of the various landowners. It's all privately owned land. here in the Sabi Sands. And even though we are open to a government-owned national park, the landowners in this area have the ability to do certain things that they would like to do because it is their land. They do, though, in the same breath, have to adhere to certain regulations, and that was an agreement made when the Sabi Sands was opened up to the Kruger Park. So the fence that used to create a boundary between us and the Kruger was dropped, and that was dropped in about 94 or 96. James, am I wrong? 94. Thanks. So we've been open to the Greater Kruger National Park for, what's that, 11 years now, and there are certain rules now that landowners do have to abide by because we are open to a national park. 21 years, thank you. My abacus is a bit rusty. Thanks for that help. Now, still no sign of any tracks, but something that I guess we could say we've learnt about this female leopard is that, as her name suggests, she likes to move like a shadow and can sometimes be tricky to track down. And a large reason for that is because she may be less likely to walk on roads than other leopards, which is strange because for me it's just a natural highway that you would move down because it's the path of least resistance. But judging from her behavior this morning, and we haven't seen too much of her in general, she doesn't like spending much time on the road. That's not to say she's not very close nearby. Well, we're going to slowly continue patrolling this area, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on what's going on with the pursuit of Shadow's, or Shadow's cub's mother, Shadow herself, the cub that we've just seen's mother. And in the meantime, Brent's over at another waterhole, and we will see you later. Dad, thanks for the question, and hope you enjoyed the safari this afternoon.
Welcome back, everyone. We're just trying to get a nice view of this raptor that's flying around. Unfortunately, he's flying very close to the where the sun is, so quite difficult to see. We're hoping he moves out to the right here. Oh, I can't see. Where's he gone? Oh, he's coming out just the other side of the tree. Oh, he's not going to make it easy to identify like that. Oh, there we go. Gone. No, maybe pop out again. Nope. Well, it's not going to be easy to see whether it is. I'm not going to try test you guys. That one would be very difficult. I had a much better view of it a bit earlier. It was an African harrier hawk or a gymnogene. As you can see, we're at Buffalo's Hook Dam, and there's a herd of impala just departing behind those buffalo bulls there. This came down for a drink, and we've got probably about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, a few more, probably about 15 to 20 buffalo bulls, and a hippo.
Alrighty, well, the people who got it right was on Twitter. The first one's in, Donna, Lisa, and Charlie. And email, the first one's in were Tina and Joanne and Diane. And they all speak in French and
Well done, Donna, Lisa, and Charlie, and Joanne, Diane. Joanne, Donna, and Diane. Well done, guys. They were the first to get that question about the bateleur right. It is a French word, which means acrobat. or tightrope walker. There was a lot more people that got it right, so well done to everyone, but those were just the first in. And the reason they got this name is because, watch carefully the next time, I'll definitely try to find another one for you guys to see. But when they fly, because they've got such a short tail, it always looks like they're balancing, so like a tightrope walker. So very, very interesting bird. What we can do now, oh, there's a buffalo with one horn and a couple of oxpeckers present. Three red-billed oxpeckers. Very old gentleman. It's not uncommon to see a buffalo with a single horn. I've even seen one with no horns, just the bosses. All these buffalo bulls sort of chewing the cud, ruminating down near the water. During on and off the day, they will spend quite a bit of time in the water, cooling off and bathing in the mud. I just want to go have a quick look around in that little inlet to see if there are any wallowing. Nope. I'm pretty sure that's the one we saw a couple of days ago with the wound on the tail. Let's see if I can actually have a look what might have caused that now. It was very difficult to get a decent view last time. Oh no. You can see he's a little bit less relaxed than the other bulls. Just wait for him to turn around again. And it's bleeding quite a lot. You probably find that wound has been opened by oxpeckers even more than it would be normally. I'm going to try to slide forward to the side a little bit. See, now this is quite important when approaching animals, especially one that might be injured like that. You don't want to ever approach straight onto them. You want to sort of drive at oblique angles. It's far less threatening and it makes them feel a lot more comfortable. You can see, there he is, he's turned around now again. I mean, it is possible that is from lions, but I'm not seeing any other definite scratch marks and stuff that could have been caused by lions. It could just be from a horn or an abscess there, but I'm pretty sure what's keeping that wound open and bloody is the oxpeckers. So they do feed off blood, and for some animals that have got injuries, they can be quite a pain because they'll keep pecking that open, and they've got quite sharp teeth. They've got little sort of razored edges on them that they use to prune for ticks through the animal's hair and pull them off, so they can do quite a bit of damage. Hopefully, there we go, he turns around. Can't really see it yet, but here you can see he's in quite a foul mood. Oh, there we go. Yeah, very difficult to say what made that cut. And the oxpecker is heading in, and you can see they might go straight for that open wound. There we go, into the open wound. So I'm pretty sure they were keeping it open. They've probably made it bigger as well. You can see he's in a very bad mood. He's not a buffalo bull I'd like to walk into while tracking an animal on foot. That's for sure. Oh, off he goes. We've got a Birchall starling that's just landed. So, I think it might have been yesterday's sunset safari when we got asked the difference between a Birchall starling and a Cape glossy starling. And one of the more distinct things was something to do with the face. So you can remember what are the main differences between a Burchell styling and a Cape glossy styling. You can send your answers through to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. There, Andrew's found a little 3-banded plover, little aquatic bird, always found in association with water points. Hi, Gail. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Gail would like to know, are the buffalo horns so heavy that they are continuously fighting with the weight? Well, Gail, not really. Only when they get much older and start losing condition does the weight of those horns actually become a bit of an issue. And they go up around so we can get on the other side of the sun so it doesn't blind us while we have a look at these other buffalo and the hippo. Gail, we'll have a closer look now. I'm going to just move around to where we can have a good view. A buffalo is designed to carry horns of that weight, massive shoulder muscles and chest muscles. So I wouldn't say it's too much of a problem while they're in good condition, only as they get older. You can see a few more around here now. And you can see they're not sitting with their heads on the ground. And they do, you can even see that massive bulge just behind his head there. And that is, I mean, huge muscles and strength in that neck. I mean, look as he stands up there. I mean, look how thick their neck is. Look at those bulging shoulder muscles. So he's definitely designed to be able to carry that heavy sort of skull cap, and it's an important tool for a buffalo. I mean, it's a defensive weapon against predators, and it's also a very important weapon against other buffalo when competing for mating rights in the breeding herds. You hear a bird alarm calling. I'm just going to have a quick look there. Quite upset. Maybe there's a snake or other little predator. Oh, here's that Burchell's starling again next to us. Have a really good look. Oh, and off he disappears. Great. See if there's anything to eat around the buffalo. Oh, look, there's a little African pied wagtail also there, moving out towards the right now. Hi, Lisa. Welcome on Sunset Safari. Lisa's worried that, and would like to know whether the predators will be able to smell the blood on that buffalo's tail. Lisa, if they were very close by, but I think the majority of these buffalo bulls will have some form of wound that will bleed at some point. I don't think it's a big problem for the buffalo. But we're going to continue on here from Buffalo's Hook Dam. It's been nice spending some time with the old men, but let's go try and find something that's a little bit more lively. temperature's dropped a little, not much, but definitely a little. So a little bit more comfortable now. I think it's going to be a spectacular sunset this evening. Well done to Julia and Diane and Joan and Elaine, who were the first to deal with that starling question. And they are 100% right. Well, 1 second, let me just find the starlings. 100% right. The Burchell's has a dark face mask and a black eye, whereas the Cape Glossy has a bright orange eye. Am I very blind? Why can I not see a starling? I must be. Oh my goodness. I must be going mad. Very strange. Can you see a starling, Andrew?
It's a negative.
Anyway, I know more or less where they are in the book. So we'll do it the cheating way. There we go. So there we go. A Cape Glossy starling. A bright orange eye, and it's got no facial mask. Also a lot more green in colouring. A sort of very green in colouring. And then we look at the, too far, the Burchell's. That very distinct black face mask and black eye, but also with quite a lot more blue on it. Also, they are quite a lot bigger than a Cape Glossy with a much longer tail. But well done, guys. And now, I mean, if you listen, there's literally not a noise at the moment. It is dead still. Apart from the flies buzzing around my face. It's amazing that, you know, this whole place is filled with life, but after this hot day, there's just absolute still. I mean, there's barely a breath of wind. Incredible. Not even an insect making a noise now that we're heading into the dry season. There are insects, obviously, have dropped in number, but they are still around, but it's definitely going to be a lot harder to find them. Whoa. Got a cloud in the sky. Boys, I completely died. There are some insects around. They're all buzzing around my head. I think we picked them up after visiting the old buffalo gentleman at the dam. So, I know it's one of those afternoons, but it's still wonderful to be out here and have you guys along on safari with me. Whoopsie, I'm going to hand it on to you guys. What would you like to talk about or have a quiz about? and you let me know whether you'd like it about insects or trees or birds or frogs, or you can even do more general mammals or elephants or whatnot. We can see if we can chat about it if you have some questions, or we can have a quiz if you'd like that. And just let me know via email. You can do that to questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Hi Pamela, welcome on the Sunset Safari. Pamela would like to know, how far is the Kruger from the Sabi Sands in Mozambique? Well Pamela, the Kruger actually borders the Sabi Sands. From where we're sitting now, the Kruger National Park is probably less than 3 miles, about 5 kilometers from here. And from Mozambique, it depends on the area of the Kruger as it varies in width. But I would say at most from the Kruger, from where we're sitting right now, is probably, as the crow flies, at the furthest, probably about 80 kilometers, or between 70 and 80 kilometers, directly east. And the Kruger's got an incredibly long boundary with Mozambique, so obviously it varies in different areas, but from here it's about 80 kilometers would be my guess. Pretty sure, between 70 and 80 kilometers. Just stopping and listening again, it's just so incredibly quiet. Had no sign of elephants, which I was hoping we might meander through the water holes to find. So I think we need to head to the west. See if you guys, any of the zoomies, can help me out there. Is there anything happening at the Juma camera? Because we were planning on heading that way, so maybe you guys can help me out. So zoomies, let me know what's happening at the Juma camera. You can do that by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or just dropping us an email at questions@wildearth.tv. For those of you who might be new, a zoomie is someone who operates the waterhole cameras, and they're able to control and zoom, and we're very lucky. They do an amazing job keeping their eyes on those cameras, and for us, and they often let us know if there's a leopard at the dam or whatnot, we can shoot there, so they definitely help us out a lot. And for those of you who might not know exactly what we are on a live safari. You are on the back of my game drive vehicle, traveling through the African bush on the hunt for wild animals and plants and insects and whatever we may find. We also are interactive, so you can send us questions, and you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. From Boston. I hope you get better soon. Marianne would like to know whether we've seen quarantine or Kunuma since they shed that kill to the south of us. we haven't. And I've chatted to some of the other guides, and they haven't seen them either. It is probably, we might see them again, but there is a likelihood they have gone their way now, and will be sneaking around the edge of other male leopards' territories till they're old enough to challenge for their own. Hi, Michelle from Massachusetts. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Michelle would just like to know a little bit more about the geology in this area. Well, Michelle, it's a relatively simple area from a geology point of view. We're mostly on granite and quartz soils, interspersed with what is called Timbervati gabbro. Timbervati gabbro, we have, I think, almost zero gabbro in this area, so we're mostly all on granite soils here. So that's why we have this mixed woodland, broadleaf woodland, dominated by combretum or bush willow species. The gabbro, which you get to the south and to the east of us, is a sort of a black cotton soil, so it can get very thick mud during the summer months, and that is more open and grasslands. So the majority of the Sabi Sands is either on granite or gabbro, and that's pretty much the geology of this area. It is quite a basic geology area. I'm sure there is a bit more into it, and I definitely should read up a bit more on my geology. I think that's a good quest for the week coming. But as far as I've been taught, and I know that it is mostly granite and quartz, which is what we are now. And actually, let me have a look. Here we got some quartz here. There we go, you can see there's some quartz. Actually, I'm going to put it on the dashboard, much easier to see. You can see the little crystals and the sun shining on them there. You can see that one's been broken a bit more. So this is the quartz. And you guys better remind me a little bit later when it's dark, because then I can beat them together. And we can even sometimes get a spark when we do it. So I'm going to have to do this after dark though. But if we take the two quartz stones together, I'm actually going to try and find some bigger ones. It'd be quite funny to do it with these. But if you beat them together like this, whoopsie, you'll get a spark, and you can actually smell that there's been sort of a combustion there. So it smells almost like burnt hair when you hit them together. So I must definitely, I'll keep a lookout for some bigger pieces, and then after dark I'll hit them together and maybe we'll be able to see the spark. I'll keep those two just in case we don't find any, those three just in case we don't find any bigger pieces. But hopefully I'll keep my eye open for some, and we can definitely try and make a spark after dark. Is that funny, Andrew? Currently we've got Heidi. Welcome, and thank you very much for your question, Heidi. And quite a few others are asking about the injury to Mvula's eye. For those of you who might be new, Mvula is the dominant male leopard around Djuma. So Mvula has a burst blood vessel in his eye at the moment and a bit of swelling around his eye. And there's a lot of speculation to what caused that. I think it was possibly, there's 3 different ways it could have been caused. One is having a territorial fight with another male, and that would have been from a sort of a big slap with enough power to burst a blood vessel. The second could have been from mating. Leopard mating is quite violent. The male's penis is barbed, so as he dismounts, it hurts the female quite badly, and they often will turn around and try hit the male leopard. So it could have been a smack from a female, and then the third and probably most possible out of the 3 at the moment is that he injured it while taking down prey species. He could have got a kick to the side of the head from an impala. Even a small animal like a duck or a stembok can inflict an injury like that. And there's a lot of questions on, will we intervene? Will someone help? It's difficult to see an animal in pain or suffering. Well, out here, no, we won't intervene. We'll let nature take its course. The only time we would intervene is if the damage to the animal is caused by humans. So say a snare, someone hit an animal with a car, swallowed a plastic bag, or plastic bag got stuck, something like that. Oh, sorry guys, I'm about to go through. Let me just actually finish this off before I go through the bad signal spot. So we would never intervene in that situation. That is nature taking its course. And I know it is quite hard and tough to see sometimes. And it's really, really hard from our point of view not to put human emotions into this. But we must remember there are wild animals, and we are privileged to watch them in what they do. But we are not here to intervene. We are here to observe. So we would not get involved in that at all. We would watch as observers what would happen. Personally, I don't think it's a major injury. I think probably by the next time we see it, his eye would have cleared up. It's just a burst blood vessel and a bit of swelling. So I don't think it's a major threat to his life or his life or him defending his territory from another male. I'm quite sure he's still got good vision out of that eye. So I hope that helps answer that. So I'm about to pop through quite a deep drainage line. There is a possibility we might have a little bit of signal breakup. So just bear with me and I'll try and move through it as fast as possible. Well, there we go. Popped through the drainage line. Updates from the Djuma waterhole camp. There's just some buffalo bulls and some inyala. Thanks very much, everyone. I really do appreciate that. That gives us the chance to focus our intentions on somewhere different. So thanks a lot for that. And keep me updated if anything interesting arrives. No, I know. Here's a tree I have not done with you guys before. It is a really nice tree. I really do like the family. If we have a look. Oh, and there are some green pigeons in the back feeding by the looks of things as well. So not only do we have a nice tree, we've got a little bird party here as well. So do you see the pigeons, Andrew?
Up top here.
Up top, yeah. There we go. Not the best view of them. A little bit to the right. I think we'll drop a bit in center shot now. Zoom. And yeah, there we go. not the best view of a green pigeon, but we're not looking at the pigeons, we're looking at the tree. So let's have a look at the tree. A very, very, oh, there's a crested barbet as well, popping around. Very, very cool tree, I think, personally. Very distinct leaves and pods, and it resembles an acacia in its shape quite often. And that's one of the clues to where it gets its name from. And also, very, very beautiful. I really do like these trees. So, it is quite an interesting tree. Not one, I don't know, maybe Mark would have shown this tree to you in the past. But and then we go some of the bark. It's been eaten by elephants a little bit, so let's look at the higher bark, and it's better for an identification purposes. So have a look. I'm going to get Andrew to zoom in on the pods, and it looks like it's still in flower as well. We might get some nice insects around here as well. So have a careful look at this tree. It is quite a difficult one, but I'm hoping someone out there is going to be able to get it. Let me just find it in my book. So it's a big tree that can get very big. They resemble acacias sometimes, and that's where part of the clue in what the family is. So who can tell me which tree this is? And you can send your answers to questions at WildEarth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Very, very cool tree. Sorry, I just thought I heard something walking up behind me, but it was nothing. So while we wait for a few answers about this tree, I'll tell you a little bit about the traditional uses for it. I'm going to try see if we can zoom in on one of the broken branches. There's a broken branch there on the left. You got it there, Andrew? Let's try see up a little bit. The freshly broken one. And you can just see there's a little sort of stream down the edge there, and that's low down. There we go, that one. And that's from gum. It produces a gum that was chewed traditionally, but it's said to be of not the best quality. So in Zululand, they use infusions of both hot and cold infusions of the bark and root, which they treat skin diseases such as scabies. Well, only a cold extract from roots alone, not with bark, is used to treat inflamed eyes. The bark is poisonous, but it is still used in a lot of traditional medicine. The Zulus make a love charm emetic from it. So basically, you have to throw up to prove your love by eating the love charm made from this tree. And also in Mozambique, in the Tonga or Shangaan culture, it's used as a treatment for bronchitis. And in many different cultures, the seeds are used to make a sauce, to add flavor to meals. So apparently our first answer is in. Hi everyone. Our first answers are coming in. Sausage tree. Sausage tree is not right. I'll keep going through what else it can be used for. In Botswana, the root and bark are used to make a soap substitute. But I'm gonna let you guys. There's a few answers coming. A false mimosa, Rocky on Twitter. Oh, you guys are in the right zone. False mimosas or false thorns are better known as albizzias, but this particular one, is known as. Where's it gone now? I just keep moving the page. There we go. I was just trying to get there. Is Albizia adantifolia, which is a flat crown or a large flat crown false thorn. This one hasn't started spreading yet, but they do mimic mimosas or acacia trees. So really well done, guys. It's a really difficult tree. Really, really well done. Sure, I thought I was going to have to wait a bit longer for an answer, but I've just been put in my place. So we'll continue on and see what else we can find. Whoopsie. That was a slip of the foot. Sometimes having long legs in these little cars can be a bit of a challenge. Diane, apparently there's guinea fowl and Hadida ibis alarm calling at Djuma. That could be interesting. It could just be a bird of prey flying over. But we are not too far, so maybe we'll go have a look there quickly, Diane. Who knows? There might be a leopard. So while we make our way towards the Djuma waterhole camp to follow up on those alarm calls, we're going to cross over to Scotty and see what he's been up to, and we'll be back with you a little later in the drive.
Welcome back, everyone, and I hope you've been having fun with Brent, and I know he sets out some difficult quizzes for you from time to time, so good luck with that. I'm glad I'm not being tested by him, that's for sure. Now, sadly, due to the problems we are facing with the radios at the moment, I haven't got any updates as to what exactly happened with Shadow's cub, the young male leopard we viewed earlier. But we've come back into this area and found quite a few, sorry about these bumps, found quite a few of his tracks up and down this road. We think they're his tracks. There could also be tracks of a female, so who knows what's happened since we've been gone. All we know is that there's been change, and we are busy trying to establish what exactly has happened. Now, as you may have witnessed earlier, leopards can dissolve into this vegetation, and he could be lying just meters off the road without us knowing him being there. The only way to find out is to spend some time here snooping about, and who knows, maybe he'll just pop out on the road in front of us, or we may hear some alarm calls of animals that may see him. But I think it is definitely worth our while to spend a little bit more time in this area, slowly searching for him. Failing that, what we'll do is we'll probably move out of the area and come back here a little bit later once it's cooled down. Now it's probably just my imagination, but I can see something in the road up ahead of us, and you wouldn't believe it, it's a bush. It's a green bush far down on the left that you can see over there, and it's not the leopard I was hoping it to be. It really is incredible, the power of your mind, and you can really twist and contort random inanimate objects into whatever it is you desire them to be. It is only, of course, a temporary thrill, as it doesn't take long to establish that you're in fact tricking yourself into seeing what you want to see. This is where the tracks start coming up and down. We left them just on our left-hand side a bit earlier. And Master Tracker James on the back here seems to think that the freshest tracks have headed to the east, which does suit us just fine, because that is the direction that we want them to go. We can travel anywhere on our right. Apologies, to the west, not to the east. The east is to our left, the west is to our right. And I've just got a feeling that we should go in here and snoop around. Seen a little termite mound, there's a few big marula trees. Likely places for a young leopard to hang out. But not guaranteed. That's for certain. Now, because we are having troubles with our radios, I'm going to ask Nikki in the final control to please ask Brent to see if he can get a hold of anyone from Arethusa and ask them, or ideally Roy, what exactly happened to this young male leopard. So, just how we helped the other vehicles get into the sighting this morning, it was James who was relaying the messages to them. Now Brent is going to have to try and help us out. Certain all these tracks we have seen on the road up and down here are from him after we left him with Roy, but we can't be certain of that. So what the plan is we are going to do one loop around this block just to try our luck, and failing that we will move off into a different area, see if there's anything else interesting happening, which I'm sure there is. It's just a matter of finding it, and then come back here a little bit later and see if we don't get lucky once it's cooled down a bit. Brent is trying his best to get a hold of the guides on his radio, so let's hope he has a little bit of luck. chatting while you've been gone about waterholes and the likelihood of finding animals there. And it is interesting. It's a kind of common misconception, I guess. We've come to the agreement, James, Bryan and myself, that yes, of course, waterholes will provide a very important resource to animals, but they don't need to spend all day there drinking, and therefore a lot of the time when we arrive at the waterholes there's nobody home, which shouldn't come as a huge surprise. Also bearing in mind that there's a large number of waterholes in the Sabi Sands, so you could almost say they're abnormally high amounts of water around, so animals have got the choice of where to go, and that therefore makes it more difficult for us to pinpoint which waterhole they may be at any given stage. Anyway, we were just discussing, I thought I'd let you know what we've been discussing, and we've obviously also been discussing our thoughts as to where we think the leopard have gone. But our theories on that matter are varied and inconclusive. It's a beautiful afternoon and it's beginning to cool down a bit, which is good for both us and our comfort, but more importantly for the animals. And it's when it cools down that the birds begin to start calling and the animals start to move. Because currently they all appear to be hiding from us, as you can see. But that can change at any moment. Around any one of these corners we could be surprised by, who knows, a pack of wild dog. Not likely, but possible. And the reason why I say it's not likely is because this area is fairly well patrolled by the various guides with their guests. Typically got a fairly good handle on pack animals or pride animals like wild dog or lion who leave multiple tracks in the road. There have been no reports of wild dogs nearby. It wasn't long ago that there were a pack on the property, and James and Brent and Mark were around to enjoy that. I'm not sure which of them individually got to see them, but great that the wild dog pack was back on the property temporarily. They do come and go and have got massive, massive home ranges. So you could almost say it's a bonus when they pass through. Now, I cannot resist the temptation of doing one more loop. Now, it may be the same scenery that we've already seen this afternoon, but it's a gamble that I think is worth taking, so here we go. Lap number 2, in hope of either a leopard's cub, or hopefully both. A female and an 8-month-old boy. Brent has managed to get a hold of one of the guides, but that guide doesn't seem to be able to contact the other guide necessary to provide us with the information we need. So essentially we've got a bit of broken down telephone, which again is not worth getting demoralized about. It's all part of the adventure out here, and everything happens for a reason. So we're gonna continue our quest, and it's quite simple. Even without anybody else's help, it does sometimes require just you or us and you, the viewers, to have some patience and invest some time searching for what could end up in being a wonderful sighting. Like anything in life, some things that are really good you have to work harder for, and this is no different to that. And it was just yesterday afternoon that James spent a good majority of his drive searching for the same leopard, and his hard work and perseverance paid off. What I'm going to do is just stop for a second, and it'll give us a chance to answer one or two questions. And if you'd like to send through questions, to do so you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, while you send your questions through, we have the opportunity to listen while the engine's off and hopefully hear some noises that may lead us to where these leopard are hiding. Well, we've got a question through from Happy Cub. Good afternoon and welcome on board with us. Happy Cub has noticed that these roads seem very sandy, or this road specifically that we're traveling down, and has there been sand recently laid down on the road? No, this is the typical substrate that you find if you dig up the grass in this area. So this road is essentially just cleared bush, nothing has been laid down. But what does happen is a tractor will drive up and down this road every now and then, or all the roads, and actually drag big old tractor tires behind it, smoothing out the road, and that obviously kicks up a lot of sand. It's also one of the main boundary roads and main access roads, this specific road, that separates many different lodges. So a lot of vehicles will travel down these roads daily in order to get to various lodges. Not all of the guests will fly into airstrips in the Sabi Sands. Some of them may fly to Hoedspruit, a nearby town, and get a 1-hour vehicle transfer in. And it's along this road that a lot of people will travel. Good question though, and I'm glad you're keeping a close eye on the roads, and you're obviously very observant, Happy Cub. Aha, Deb in Ohio. Good afternoon and welcome. I thought I just heard something there. Apologies for that. Deb has asked a great question. Now, to recap and fill everyone in on what happened this morning, when we first got visual of, and this will help answer your question, Deb, when we first got visual of Shadow's cub, the young male, he was up a tree, and he had been treed by 2 hyena. I think the cub had possibly attempted to catch an impala, which it will do. It will try and catch things, and it is inquisitive and quite bold. Usually those smaller things like squirrels or gerbils or little birds, maybe mongoose, and it'll do that when it's left alone, when its mother goes out to hunt, and it's then that it'll have time to practice. Anyway, 2 hyena caught wind of him, chased him up a marula tree. We had only been there about a minute or two, just arrived at the sighting, and we heard him contact calling. Now, I wasn't sure if he was calling out of frustration, because he was facing the hyena, But I did immediately say it is kind of strange, and it's quite possible that he can hear the mother's contact call that we simply cannot hear, and he could have been responding to his mother. Sure enough, within the next few seconds, he got up in the tree and started coming down. Now, the hyena was still very close by. You could see the hyena, probably not even 20 feet away. But he managed to, I wouldn't say sneak down the marula tree, he jumped off into a bush willow nearby and made quite a mess of his descent. But then managed to slink off and headed straight to his mother. We saw them reunite, and then the mother started beelining straight south. And I thought, well, this is good. She's going to take us straight to a kill, and they're going to go and start feeding on it. They traveled for about a mile, and then we lost visual of them temporarily as they crossed into a property where we could not go. And then thankfully they popped out on this road somewhere, I think just in front of us, and crossed. And just before they crossed, she started growling at him, and he started keeping his distance. Now, before they'd been playing, running, tumbling, and everything was jovial and happy. Then in the few moments that we left them, her mood had changed, and the reason for that, I think, is simply because she wanted to collect him and move him from one area where she left him in order to get him into an area where she then intends to hunt. So keeping track of where he is so that she can continue hunting, which is her main goal. If she cannot feed herself, she cannot feed him. So she will continue to focus on hunting as much as she can. And Deb would like to know, why does she not take the cub along when she's hunting? How will he learn? And he will learn when he's on his own, chasing small lizards, butterflies. They've got a natural instinct to chase things, and it's an art that with leopards they will need to hone on their own, and that is how they survive. They do often battle when they are initially kicked out of their mother's care and catching their own food, but they make a plan. And it wouldn't make sense to have him tagging along while she's hunting, because again, it's more important for her to worry about feeding herself and then him than to take him along and try and teach him to hunt. And if he just kept spoiling every hunt, how would either of them eat? So I guess it's unique with leopard. Cheetah will sometimes keep their cubs fairly close to where they are hunting and even allow their cubs to kill and dispatch prey that they have caught. Lions are no different, but again, they have the fortune of this cheetah being incredibly fast, lion being able to hunt as a pride, as a group, and therefore having their cubs tagging along probably doesn't have as much of an impact as it would on leopard. In the same breath, there's nothing to say that while she was moving this morning with the cub over that kind of 1 mile distance, they could have come into something, and he may have laid down and realized, or he may have blundered a hunt, and then she may have swatted him a few times and snarled at him. There's a lot that we don't know and see with individual leopards and their individual relationships with other adults or their cubs. So there's always going to be a few different theories on this matter, Deb. But I hope that answers your question. Another question that has been answered by Mother Nature, and that was a question that we asked her, is where are the leopard hiding? And she has answered with a question mark. Silence. No clues, no alarm calls. So what we now do is continue. And make sure he's not hiding behind us. And we'll do one more loop around. He shouldn't have traveled too far from here. But then again, they have a mind of their own. And just like humans, mood will differ and behavior will differ from day to day. So what he did yesterday is not necessarily what he's going to do today. Good afternoon, Chris. And thanks very much for sending your question through. Chris would like to know if leopard mothers will ever bring back live kills to allow their cubs to practice chasing down or practice killing. Never that I've seen, but I guess with smaller kills like that of a scrub hare or something like that, they may be able to hold on to them in their mouth and then give them on to the cub to play with and then kill. But it's not behavior that I've witnessed before. James, have you ever seen that? James hasn't also seen that before, and between the two of us, we have spent a fair amount of time with leopard and their offspring. So I'm not saying it hasn't happened, Chris, but it doesn't happen very often. I've got some great news, folks, and Brent has managed to find one of the harder animals to find out here, and we don't get to see them very often. It's not a small animal, but it's fairly rare to see, so enjoy spending time with Brent and his special animal, and we will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. And on our wanderings, we have now found what looks to be a very old male giraffe. I mean, you can see those lesions on his face there. He's got two wounds, scabs that look like they're almost healed. That'll be from fighting with other giraffes. And you can see his ears are quite tattered. I'd say he's quite an old bull giraffe, probably. Oh. And they live to about 30, so I mean he must be 25 at the youngest. Massive, absolutely massive. And he's got oxpeckers in tow. Oh, irritating oxpeckers. If we actually go forward, I'm just going to go forward a tiny bit. I mean, there's an oxpecker that's busy feeding on his feet, and there's another one dust bathing in between. There's a whole bunch of oxpeckers dust bathing, but we can see there's one feeding on its right on his hooves, and then you can see behind his back foot there's others dust bathing. A mobile snack machine for an oxpecker, the giraffe, and most animals out here. So it looks to be a whole group of oxpeckers, some feeding, others dust bathing around the base of his feet. And he's just standing there. As I said, he looks like quite an old giraffe bull. Those huge hooves. There's quite a bit of wear on the hooves. Also a good indicator that he is quite old. He's probably survived a few lion attacks over the years. So just a quick update. We went to go have a look at Gary Down, where Dana was kind enough to send us to say she heard guinea fowl and Haida ibis alarm calling. And once we got there, the guinea fowl and the Haida, we saw both were very relaxed. And what probably happened is that a bird of prey would have flown over, and that's what would have caused them to alarm. But if you've just joined us, we're out on a sunset safari here in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. We've been having a fantastic time out here. Wonderful late afternoon light coming through now. And I know Scotty was on fire this afternoon, managed to find you that young male leopard again. And we've been looking at some trees, and now we're looking at a nice big male giraffe. Quite an old male giraffe. And he's walking down a big game path that leads up from Sydney's Dam. So he probably went for a drink, now heading back out. up onto the crests where it's a bit warmer. Oh, he really has been in the walls. If you look behind his head and his ears, I just seem to just be holding on. There's lots of lesions from fighting. He's had a very long life, I think, for a giraffe. Let's move forward a little bit. So he's moving through into some thickets, and we're not going to go chase him driving. He's given us such a wonderful sighting. So Angela in Boston was wondering how big he is in feet. Now, Angela, I have not a clue. My mathematical conversions are not a strong point. So I don't have a clue. What I am going to do is try loop round to see if he crosses through to the next road, and maybe I can find a tree that he passes close to, that I can, after he passes through, that I can go stand next to, and we can work off how tall I am, and I'm just over 6'3", so maybe we can work it out from that. And we'll try that way first, otherwise I'll have to do the maths. So hold on, we're going to go a little bit faster because he's quite close to our boundary. I would guess he's probably close on 5 meters. Very, very big male giraffe. Probably between 4.5, well, let's say 4.5 to be on the safe side. Whee! Ferrari Safari! Down one of these big animal paths that are coming out here. It might be the next one. Or maybe he stopped for a snack. There's the Scotia. So a little bit further forward. Elizabeth. Elizabeth would like to know what age areas spotted do giraffe live to. Elizabeth, around 30 years old. Oh, you stopped for a snack. Oh no, it looks like a buffalo horn. Let me just maneuver get into the right position. Oh no, he's on the move again. That was eating on the run. Fast food. So this is our boundary just off to my right. That's why I try to zoom around. And there he is. He's on a mission. Maybe he's looking for ladies. So we're going to stay parallel with him. So guys, we're going to, it looks like he wants to come across on this game path next to us. So there's a nice stump there. So if he does decide to walk that way, grab a screenshot. Oh no, he is. when he gets next to the stump, and then I can go stand next to the stump so we can do a height comparison. There he goes. Teresa would like to know how big his hooves are. They are very big. They're bigger than a buffalo's hooves. I'll try to show you how big. Now, what I'll do is, once he walks across the road, we can actually see a track, and then we can do a size comparison next to the track. Definitely an old gentleman. There we go, leaving us some nice fresh footprints. And off he goes into our neighboring property. Okay, well, first things first, let's do the stump, and then we'll go have a look at the track. So, I'm 6'3", so how many of me's equals one big male giraffe? Okay, now let's go find those fresh giraffe tracks. Now let's think of something that everyone will know the size of. Okay, well, we'll just use my binoculars, I think. Okay, so I'm going to just put my binoculars down because it's going to be a bit hard to hear me if I'm down there. And I'll show my hand and my binoculars, and then we'll have a look at the track. Let's do this one. Actually, this one's better. You got it?
Yeah.
So my binoculars are about the same size as my hand, and you can see with those lines I've made there that the long last line is the end of the track. So that is another couple of centimeters longer than my hand or my binoculars. So really, really big. And that's a nice question. Thank you very much for that. Now let's see what else we can find. So I just thought I spotted something walking in the road, but it wasn't. Hi, Marja from the Netherlands. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Marja would like to know, oh, this is a corrugated road. How do giraffes sleep, or do they? They will lie down sometimes at night, but they don't really sleep. Like most animals out here, they will doze more than sleep. It's a bit risky to be fully sedated like we are. The only animals that really sleep are your primates, or your diurnal primates like monkeys, baboons, us, that will move into an area that's safe, sleep in a tree, or your other animals that go into burrows and holes where they have a protected area. The animals that stay out in the open, they don't generally sleep per se, they will rather doze more than sleep. So we're going to try and get off this main road as fast as possible. I think I'm going to go a little bit fast because the sunset is about to go down. I'm just going to get us in a nice spot to have a look at that. You can feel the temperature cooling down at the moment. I think part of the plains, it'll be a good spot. We have a nice big vista from there. That's, of course, unless a leopard wants to grace us with its presence beforehand. Thank you very much, Cecilia, Kathleen, and Rocky, who have informed us that 3 Brents equal 1 very big male giraffe. So what's that? 12, 18. Wow, that's a very tall animal in feet. So 12, 18, 18 foot, 9 inches for a male giraffe. That is huge. Pamela and Lynn seem to disagree. They think it's 2.5 Brents, which would be 15? Around 15, 16 foot. Yes, which sounds possibly a little bit closer. Maybe not 3 full Brents, maybe 2.5 or 2 3/4 Brents equal 1 male giraffe. Oh, we're gonna beat it. Aha! A bit of speed sometimes pays off. Sometimes it's good to go slowly and listen, but when you want to catch some of these spectacular African sunsets, sometimes a bit of speed to the right spot can make it all worthwhile. And we've got the Drakensberg and the sunset. And again, a great time to sit quietly and listen. Good chance that predators might be on the move. Another tough day in the office. We are incredibly privileged to do what we do and to be able to share the African wildlife and bush with you. There's something about this time of the day that just sort of lets all the worries and troubles of the day, looking at that amazing African vista, sort of washes away a lot of the troubles. Magic time. You can hear a few birds chirping, but all in all very, very quiet. Sounds like some buffalo weavers to the south of us. And now it's time for some of the players to change. The nocturnal mammals are going to be starting to get ready to come out. And hopefully, we're going to have some luck with them. Some of the most interesting smaller mammals in Africa only come out after dark. Genets, bush babies, civets, honey badgers, serval, caracal, porcupines, aardvark, pangolins, the list goes on. They are very difficult to find, but my fingers are crossed that we're out almost every day. One of us has to get lucky one of these evenings with something spectacular. There you can see Drakensberg Mountains to the left. Two of my favorite literary quotes are by one man and both about Africa. Both by Ernest Hemingway, who spent a lot of time in Africa. My favorite one is that of Hemingway's is that I never had a bad day in Africa. The second one, it's a little bit naughty, but it refers to miles and miles of something Africa. And I think I agree with both of his sentiments. Now, it's incredible to think about there. Oh, thanks very much, Lynn. Lynn is saying we have a very beautiful office. We do. We're very privileged, and we really do love sharing our office with you. And we really do appreciate all the questions and that you do send in. It's an honor to be able to share our love and passion for Africa with so many of you all over the world. It's almost like the sky is on fire. So it's incredible that we are live. You're watching the sun set at exactly the same time as us. Wherever you're sitting in the world, what's it? 9 a.m. in the morning in the North America and Canada, and the sun is going down here on the southern tip of Africa, and you're able to experience this with us. It's an absolutely amazing and incredible thing. And it's gone, just like that. So we're going to hand you over to Scott for a while. We're going to continue to see what else we can find. But thanks for joining me for that incredible sunset. And we'll be back with you a little bit later in Drive. And I'm sure Scotty's got some interesting information for you.
Welcome back, everyone, and it sounds like you've been having a magical evening with Brent as well as a big old giraffe, and really happy that you got to spend some time with the giraffe. Now we've found some shorter but equally pretty herbivores, and they're just off to our right over here. They're a mixed herd of impala. There's some females, young males, medium-sized males. They could all be at an age where they are either not sexually mature and therefore have no need to be involved in the rutting chaos, the breeding season of these animals. And that's why they may have separated themselves in a mixed herd. And these impala are treading through an area where there could very well be some leopard. We know there was a young male not far from us earlier on. We're not sure where he's gone. He's hiding out from us. But it's good that we know these impala are here in the direction they're moving, and they're actually moving towards where we last saw that young male. And now if we do continue and hear alarm calls from this area, we will know exactly where to race back to in search of any predators. But before that happens, we are going to continue on and see if we cannot find any sign of the young leopard's mother that we managed to see this morning. And she could be in this general area looking for some impala. She may just not have known these ones were here. Well, who knows? Maybe she's stalking them right now without us even knowing. Anyway, I don't think that's the case, so we're going to continue on towards the Arethusa airstrip, which is an area simply from reports that I know she likes to spend time, and she was heading in that direction the last time we saw her this morning. It's a very calm evening, at least in this area of the Sabi Sands here on Arethusa. Not too much bird song. A very tranquil evening. There's not a breath of wind, and it's cooled down to a very, very comfortable temperature, which we are all enjoying thoroughly. Now, a lot of you may be wondering why we've decided to invest so much time in this area where we got a visual of this young male leopard a little bit earlier. And that's simply because there's a strong likelihood that he'll still be in that area and not have moved too far away. Now, the reason for that is that obviously his mother is going to come back into the area where she knows she last saw him and try and contact him. Now, their hearing is great, so there's nothing wrong with them moving off a short distance because their senses allow for that. But he's not going to, in all likelihood, move too far away. Now, despite all of that, we didn't have any luck finding him, but it certainly was worth investing time in it. From my side, personally, I guess it's also because we seldom actually get a chance to see him, and it's only been more recently that Shadow appears to be spending more time on Djuma, that we have been seeing more frequent visuals of him. When I saw him 3 months ago, he was close to the eastern boundary of Arathusa, about 3 miles or 4 miles from where we are. Sorry, the western boundary. So it's been interesting to note how his mother's territory appears to be shifting and shifting towards the east, which could mean she's slowly ousting her mother called Karula, and that's not unheard of with leopard. And it kind of makes perfect sense. Young female will be in her prime as her mother starts becoming older and less capable of occupying a large territory. Now, what we found here appears to be an active breeding herd or rutting herd of impala. It's going to be very difficult to show you as it's so thick, but you might just get glimpses of a male who's closely trailing a female. He's just disappeared behind the bushes there, but you can just make out his horns when he lifts up his head. There we go. And I know the visual's not great now, but it is interesting to see that nearby that inactive herd regarding rutting, this herd looks like a far more likely rutting herd. There's lots of females, a few very young males that will be tolerated by the dominant male of this herd, and all of their mothers. There's the big male, who's in all likelihood currently in charge of all of these ladies, and you can see him rubbing his orbital glands there, scent marking essentially on that little branch, and that they'll do during the rutting season to peg out their little patch of land. And because it's such a busy stage of the year for male impala, they may not be able to occupy this patch or all these ladies for the duration of the rutting period, but only for a few days or a week, and then another male will come in and take over. Now, this is a good opportunity for us to move along, and very fancy camera work there by James, who's trying his hand at it for the first time, so hats off to him for his camera work. And I'm just going to try and creep forward. I didn't give him a very easy opportunity there to prove himself with all those bushes, so sorry about that, James. Baptism of fire. But that was very good work. And the impala have all moved off into even thicker vegetation. And you'll see, like his coach, Bryan, he briefly deployed the thumb there. Well, won't it be interesting to know if the Shadow comes across these impala a little bit later? It's certainly possible. just to let all of you know, sadly I'm in currently a bit of a black hole with regards to communicating with the final control. So if at any point Nikki decides to cut away from me, it's not going to hurt my feelings, and it simply means Brent's found something interesting. So that could happen at any stage. I'm battling without any updates from the final control, and if something strange happens, now you all know why.
Welcome back, guys. It's quite a strange little scenario playing out here at the hyena den. There's one youngster here, so we're not going to stay very long. Obviously, we don't like staying around the den when there are no adults, but we just decided we'd show you very quickly. There's a dead emerald-spotted wood dove on the ground, and to say how this arrived here is near impossible, but maybe a predatory bird dropped it, but this little hyena cub doesn't seem to know what to do with it. You can see it's almost scared of it, which means it maybe was dropped from the sky. I mean, we'll never know exactly what happened, but you can see how nervous this little guy is of a dove. Very strange. Oh, picks up a bone instead. So I just wanted to show you guys that quickly. And as I said, it's getting a bit dark. There are no adults here, and we don't want to attract any unnecessary attention to the den. So we're going to leave. We're going to leave now. But a very strange behavior, and I'd really wish I knew where that dove came from. But it is getting dark now, and as I said, no adults here. So, whoa, hang on, adults. No, another youngster just arrived from the middle of the bush. There's dust, and they just ran down the hole, and adults. Oh no, another youngster. Might be adults coming back. We're just going to wait 30 seconds. It just came charging out of the bush. And they are spending time out with the adults, out in the bush foraging at this age already. So the other options, they might have just been around the other side of the den, but I'm still not seeing any adults, and obviously we don't want to interfere and attract any attention. So I think I'm still going to move out rather than stay here at this time of the day with no adults present. Oh, it's popping out. Just going to go this way a little bit so I can check if there's any adults around the other side. If there are adults around, we can stay, but it doesn't look like it. I have one quick last glimpse at the all three of the sub-adults. Yeah, they're not really babies anymore, they're sub-adults. Those two have definitely been away from the sort of greeting that's going on. And they are nearly at an age where we'll be able to view them without adult supervision, but I'd rather not take any chances. Yeah, they've definitely just arrived back. Little greeting ceremonies going on. But with no adults here, I'm not comfortable staying, so we're going to move on and let them be hyenas without voyeurs. So, we just crossed quickly because that was really interesting behavior with him not sure what to do with that dove. So we're going to cross back to Scotty now. I know he's on the Arethusa airstrip, and I'm sure it's beautiful there at the moment. So off to Scotty, and we'll be back with you a little later.
Welcome back, everyone. And really, really interesting sighting there with a hyena cub and a dead emerald spotted wood dove. Who knows how that would have happened or where the hyena cub found it, but really, really interesting stuff. And again, just testament to the fact that we just don't know what we're going to see out here, and that certainly would have been one thing that would have put huge odds against happening this afternoon, yet it happened. So really glad that you got to be involved in that interesting sighting with Brent and Andrew. We made our way up along the airstrip, didn't see much, and now are making our way for one final trip through the area where we last saw Shadow's cub. Failing that, we will continue on to a new area and see what else we've been missing out on this afternoon. I'm actually putting my money on Bryan to find the leopard for us. It's often the case that the cameramen outperform the presenters when it comes to spotting the animals. And because James is still currently more of a presenter than a cameraman, he's going to continue in the cameraman bracket, the presenter bracket, therefore leaving Bryan to save us, basically. This is up to Bryan.
No pressure.
If we don't find the leopard, it's his fault.
Thanks, guys.
And to be fair, Bryan does have a distinct height advantage over all of us. He's a very tall member of our team, and he's basically got a bird's eye view on the surroundings, which will aid him in spotting this spotted cat. Now we are getting into that area where the cub could pop out at any stage. He was just up to our left, about a quarter of a mile away when we last saw him. We did have tracks of what we think are his tracks from after we left him, heading up and down the road. No surprises there. He's a youngster that may not have had a set plan. His mother left him, and despite James heading off and trying to do some tracking and us looping ahead and picking up on roads, we didn't have any luck coming up with the leopard earlier. But just to fill you in what was going on between when you were with us and when you linked back to Brent's, it's an important part of the puzzle that we need to share with you, and something that is probably the only major difference between you being out here on the back of a vehicle or you being at home watching. The main difference for me is that simply that there are two vehicles that you have the benefit of switching between. For the regular guests out here, it doesn't matter where their guide is or what's going on, they stuck with them, whereas you have the benefit of both worlds or both vehicles, and essentially therefore double the contents, or double the action. And thankfully Brent has been been spending a lot of time entertaining you all this afternoon, and that allowed us time to actually really fine-comb this area, get out on foot, examine the tracks, take a walk, see what we can find. And despite even doing that, we came up with nothing. So very glad we got a glimpse of him earlier, and it was a really pretty sighting of him perched up on the termite mound. And it was also great, the last images we had of him, because it was so well camouflaged in the vegetation that it was hard for all of us to see him. Now, our next plan and the next area we're going to head towards is kind of in the central parts of Djuma, but on the southern boundary. And there were some tracks of a young male leopard heading south out of our property a few days ago. And I'm hoping that it was either Djuma or Quarantine, one of two brothers, who are now beginning to expand and move further afield as they are in all likelihood being forced out of their home territory where they grew up under their mother's guidance, and also within their father's territory. And now, because they are becoming sexually mature, their father would naturally be starting to force them away. And not only that, their own inquisitive nature is beginning to grow and expand, and they are wanting to move off and see what else lies out there. Now, as I was saying, that leopard a few days ago crossed over this road from left to right. I'm hoping that in the next few minutes he's going to be crossing over from right to left, and we'll take over from there. It's beginning to get a little bit darker, so I'm just going to check my spotlights all in order. It is. And in the next few minutes I'll start to scan with the spotlight from side to side in the hope of picking up the reflection of any animal's eyes. Their eyes will reflect very brightly, and even if you are panning very quickly and almost haphazardly, you can get that bright glint from their eyes and then go back and focus on whatever it may be. For those of you who are new to the show, it's important to understand that we will not shine the spotlights on any of the daytime animals, so mainly the herbivores essentially, as their ability to recover their night sight is not good. It'll take them longer than the carnivores or nocturnal animals whose eyes are designed with the ability to be able to see in the dark. And we wouldn't want to leave any impala or any antelope really blinded for any period of time. Imagine how terrifying that would be, being left blinded, not knowing what's around you with all these potential threats around. So that is why we won't shine on any of the herbivores, but we will shine on predators, nocturnal predators like lion, leopard, hyena, and a host of much smaller nocturnal critters, from bush babies to mongooses to honey badgers, if we're very lucky. So that's what we have to look forward to now. The animals are changing shifts essentially, some of which will operate day and night, others strictly only at night, and others will still be maneuvering a little bit at night, but won't be ideal subjects for us to film or shine a spotlight on. name's Susan in the Netherlands, and thanks very much for sending through your question. Susan would like to know whether, if ever driving around after dark, I've ever bumped into any animals or got a big fright from any animals that I've come across. And not up to date, Susan. The only scary thing that happened to me at night was a coalition of 5 male lions stumbling upon a few old buffalo bulls, of which one ran directly into the bonnets, the bull bar of the vehicle. So that was pretty hair-raising, and I think the buffalo, it simply ran into the vehicle because it couldn't possibly see us, or it was just desperate to get away from the lions. It wasn't charging us or taking out its anger about the lions on us. We were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the fact that it was dark and we didn't have any lights on didn't help. But driving around, there's small chance of actually startling anything, because most of the time the engine's running. Right now we're freewheeling, but even still the animals will hear the vehicle coming and often that way be detected by us and not be startled. And if the animals know we're coming, then they'll either get out the way or we'll see them with the headlights. Good question though, Susan, and naturally, and a lot of guests that come out here, as soon as night falls, people become petrified. But if you actually think about it, a lot of the animals that see us during the day are going to treat us the same day or night. That is in the vehicle though. So whether we in the vehicle day or night, we tend to get very, very similar responses from the majority of the animals. You don't all of a sudden have to worry that an elephant's going to come and pluck you off the back seats, or that a leopard's going to jump out of a tree on top of you because it's the dark. So that's not going to happen. But it is important to realize that if you were walking at night, it would be very different to walking during the day. Especially if you didn't have a flashlight. That would almost be a death sentence. But nighttime, even with a flashlight, animals will treat you very differently to during the daylight hours. So I wouldn't suggest walking at night, and if you're forced to, make as much noise as you can and try and have some form of a light. The reason for that is a lot of predators like lion or leopard or even hyena may attempt to stalk you, but as soon as they establish that you've seen them, then they'll behave very differently. But you're going to need a flashlight to see a leopard stalking you. If there's no lights and you carry on unknowingly, they may see it as an opportunity to pounce. So I hope that answers your question, Susan. Now we are slowly meandering our way towards Treehouse Dam. It's a dam we drove past at the start of the drive, and it'll be interesting to see if anything has changed there in the course of the afternoon. There's a strong likelihood that the buffalo that were there earlier, there were about 4 or 5 big old buffalo bulls. I'm guessing they would have already moved off in search of their grazing grounds for this evening. And it's unlikely that any animals will be drinking now. It would be, again, a very dangerous time of the evening to decide to go to the local watering hole. But predators, on the other hand, could be there, or simply some pretty scenery. just take us about another minute, and I'd like to take you with and see if there's in fact anything at the waterhole. Failing that, we will link across to Brent and see if he's got any exciting news to share with you. Well, there's going to be no need to do that, because I've just seen from a distance there's a vehicle that's having their sundowners here at the dam, so we're not too interested in them, sadly. And we will therefore bypass the dam, knowing that there's nothing other than humans enjoying a beverage of sorts, possibly a gin and tonic. That's quite a popular one out here in the evening whilst on safari. And for those of you who don't know the safari experience and haven't been out to Africa before, it's a very important part of your morning and afternoon safari. You will have time to stop, get up off the vehicle, stretch your legs, enjoy a cup of coffee or tea in the morning, some light snacks, and the same in the evening. And it's great because the drives may be out from anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 hours, and to be seated on a vehicle for that long is a bit much, so good to get off and stretch the legs, and that's exactly what the vehicle we just drove past were doing. Okay, well, I think it's a good time to therefore head over to Brent, see what he's up to, and we will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been checking around. We haven't had any luck, but it has been an absolutely spectacular evening. Stand by. Someone's calling me on the radio, which Andrew has nicknamed R2D2 with all the beeps, for you Star Wars fans out there. Standing by, Cobus.
Brent, what did my ping-pongs do with that little dove?
They just left it there, Cobus. I didn't spend too long due to the fact there were no adults present, but they didn't eat it.
It looks like they don't know what to do with it. Okay, right, man.
Copy, thanks, Cobus. Yeah, they look scared of it. Okay, so sorry about that. We're going to keep in comms with everyone. So I said, yeah, Andrew, I think, has come up with the best nickname for the new digital radios, R2D2. But it's just been such a stunning evening. I'm going to ask Andrew just to show you this little glimpse we've got through the gap in the trees here. Looks to be a dead leadwood, and the sunset. That burning African sky behind. So our plan is from here, we're throwing the dice. There's often been leopard that sort of just appear around Juma camp, and Gallagher camp. So we're going to go check that little water hole next to the camp and check around Mvubu Road, see if we find anything there. And off we go.
Okay,
Spotted. Let's try getting to a better spot. No, that's not going to work. There's a little bush baby in the tree. Let's go back a bit. Disappearing bush baby. There we go. Just pop the eye. right in the center there. Of the center of the light.
I think I got him. Or was it something else?
No, a bit higher. Sort of in that thicket there. See his eyes every now and then when he turns to us. I'll try a little bit further forward, maybe. There's a little tunnel there. I can just see him through a few. Not the best bush baby sighting, that's for sure. Sometimes if you take the light off and then pop it back. Nope, he's hiding behind that branch there. I'm going to try a little bit forward, but if he's not comfortable being seen, we're just going to move on. Pity this buffalo thorn's in the way. Nope, he doesn't want to be seen. Okay, well, hopefully there's another one along this road. It's starting to get chilly. I think I saw the minimum temperature for today is about 12 degrees, which if I remember is 50 Fahrenheit. Colder nights we've had so far this year. I heard something.
Portrait crossing into the Sindile on
Buffalo.
Road.
There we go. Oh, I couldn't see him from where I was. It's just the buffalo having a head scratch. Not going to shine the light on him at night. Hi, Joe from Wales. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Joe's got quite an interesting question. Joe would like to know whether I've ever had to climb a tree to avoid a predator. Well, Joe, no, I haven't, but I have had to climb a tree for buffalo and black rhino. I've been chased up a tree a few times by buffalo bulls when I've been tracking predators. Far more concerned about buffalo than I am about walking into leopard and lion. So they have put me up a tree, probably more than anything else, and then I've climbed a tree once for black rhino. It was a very, very determined black rhino. Normally you can shout down their charges, and this one was not being shouted down, so up the tree I went at high speed. One nice thing about being a bit tall is you can sort of jump between those branches quite quickly. With buffalo, they can just be so cantankerous at times that if they start sort of giving you a bit of problems, it's much safer to put yourself in a position where you can get out of the way. But with all 9% of the time, it's completely fine on foot if you know what you're doing and you know how to read their behavior. And that's why you can tell when you should be looking for a tree and when you shouldn't be looking for a tree. There we go. Oh, he's moving quickly. There's a bush baby. He's about to jump up onto that dead branch. Oh, he's about to make a big leap right across the road. He's getting ready. Oh no, he thinks it's a bit too big. It's amazing how far these little animals can. No, he's deciding when they have to walk on the ground, it's probably one of the more amusing things you will ever see. They're definitely far more at home in the trees than on the ground. He's judging, I think it might be a bit too far, that jump. So I think we might get treated to a strange walk. I know he's back up. I'm just going to move back a little bit. Big jump. Just finding the right spot. There he is. Made it happily to the guarri bush on the other side.
Just to let you know, there are 7 minutes left. So in about 3 minutes, we can cross to Scott for him to say goodbye. That's what I'm going to do. Update.
There he is. Fascinating little creatures. Oh, a little scratch. Thinking about where to go next. He's actually coming closer to us. Oh, get ready, you might do the funny walk.
So watch your head there.
Whoop. No, there he goes. There we go. Oh, he didn't do the walk, he jumped onto the branch. I'm just going to forward a little bit. Oh, he's so quick. And gone. Well, that was a really nice little interlude with a lesser bush baby. Or another name for them is a South African Gallego or Gallego. Well, guys, thanks very much for joining us on the Sunset Safari. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening with you guys. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks for all the questions. We really do appreciate them. And we've had a fantastic time. We haven't seen too many of the bigger things, but we've really had a great time looking at the smaller things. And that sunset tonight was spectacular. So from Andrew and myself, thanks for sitting on the back of our vehicle while we're on a live game drive here in the African bushveld. And we will definitely be out tomorrow morning. We hope all of you join us for the sunrise safari. So wherever you are in the world, have a fantastic day or evening or night. And hope you will join us tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. Good night.
Welcome back, everyone. And you wouldn't believe it, but Nikki was asking me desperately to try and find a bush baby, but lo and behold, there was no need for that because it sounds like you and Brent found one and had a great sighting. So really happy about that. They're an animal that we fairly regularly get a glimpse of after dark, but the quality of the sightings varies greatly. So good to hear that you had a good sighting of those really cute little primates with Brent, and what a great afternoon it's been. I hope you've enjoyed being out on safari with us, and it's always a pleasure to have you all on board with us, and thanks very much for all the questions you sent through. And also a big thank you to not only Bryan on camera today, but also James, who's been practicing, as over the next few weeks both Brent, James as well as myself will be doing some work on camera. It's a pity I didn't find more animals, considering I had 2 cameramen to spread the load over, but that's how it goes out here, and we've all had a great afternoon with all of you. Now, there are just a few minutes left, and what I'm going to do is position the vehicle so that James has got an opportunity to point the camera up at the moon. It's a beautiful, beautiful moon this evening, and we can just listen and watch the moon for the last few seconds. Also, a big thank you to Nikki and Eugene and the final control, and again, one final thank you to all of you. James and Brent will be out on drive tomorrow, so I'm sure you're all looking forward to whatever they can pull out the bag for you. And until then, enjoy the sounds of the bush and the sights of the moon. See you tomorrow. The moon is currently hiding from James, but he will find it. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Phew. Sorry, everyone. Getting there. Oh, there. Oh, okay. Now we just got to get in focus.
It's a great opportunity for you to all realize the skill of
There we go.
Well done, James.
Well, now we have to frame it correctly, apparently.
There you go, perfectly composed, James. And now we can stop and listen, and you can all enjoy this beautiful view of the moon. So from all of us here at WildEarth, thanks again, and we'll see you all tomorrow.